2024. So yes,
Great.
thank you, Tamara.
Reporting in progress. Great. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Margaret McLean, and I am treasurer of the diocese with my fabulous chair of the finance committee, Josh Shipley, who should be joining us in a bit. But I just wanted to go over the financials, where we are year to date, and performance of the endowment, and then kind of go over the 2026 budget. So, and if there are any questions along the way, please feel free to interrupt me and ask, or at the end of the presentation. Okay, first slide. There we go. These are the current financials. Yes. So these are the financials through the third quarter of 2025 through September 30th. And then in the right column, you'll see the full year budget, which was passed at convention last year. As you can see, parish commitments are right on track at about 800,000. And then the endowment revenue, just a reminder, the diocese takes 5% of annual earnings from 5 specific funds of the endowment. Those funds are Bishop Odie, Robinson, Capital Resources, Theological Education, and Operating Resources. And just to remind everybody, the diocese created a new fund within the endowment titled the Operating Resources Fund, and the monies were savings that we had from the sale of real estate property, our portion that we received from the sale of DuBose Conference Center, stained glass, sale of stained glass. So we had a pretty sizable savings that we elected to invest in the endowment to be able to appreciate some of the investment gain. But we take 5% annually from those funds in quarterly draws that we use to support the operating budget. The next line item is other revenue. That is donations to the diocese, mainly from the Bishop's Missionaries Appeal. And then is also in that line item, you'd see grants in the budget, the full year budget grants from the Church Home Board. I apologize, that's not correct. But those are just monies from donations in the Bishop Missionaries Appeal. Then the donor released revenues are monies that we put aside in previous years for specific programming from the Bishop Missionaries Appeal that we add back into the budget that we will then go and expense in the programs below the line. So you can see we have total revenue through September 30th of about 1.3 million. And we think that we're going to meet the full year budget of about 2 million by the end of the year. Next slide. Here we have our expenses in the different categories through September 30th. Year-to-date expenses are on track and even in some cases under budget. The diocesan general expense is mainly the diocese assessment to the national church. Diocesan office expenses are just basic office expenses. Convention expenses, of course, will be realized next month at convention. So they're low right now, but we expect for them to meet the budget. And congregational development, you will see that we're pretty much under budget. We had the Do Good Ministry grants as part of the 2023 Bishop Missionary Appeal, as well as the Small Church Conference, which occurred earlier this year. The expenses related to that conference were less than we'd budgeted. And then on down the line, it's pretty flat or under budget. Barth House expenses will reflect in the diocesan financials here. You will see in the budget that we moved Barth House up to total youth ministry. So there's going to be a little change there.
I'll show you. I'm quite serious.
Okay. And then, of course, the diocesan personnel, that's probably the largest line item in our expenses, but that's to cover our wonderful staff and the bishop and canon to the ordinate their stipends. So thank you for all the work y'all do, because we couldn't be where we are without your great work. Okay. Next slide, please. So you'll see we have a year-to-date surplus of about $52,000. And then we're going to go on to our cash balances. The majority are in, you'll see the specific savings that that I'll refer to later. Each year we transfer over funds to these last 4 items for future expenses. But right now we have savings and money market of about $390,000, and then checking and savings close to $900,000. So we have a healthy cash balance of about $1.7 million. Okay, as in the bishop's beautiful prayer at the beginning, we are very grateful for past gifts to the diocese. Lacey, you can go to the next slide. The endowment is managed by FEG, which is a outfit out of Chicago, and there are about 5 or 6 members on the endowment committee who meet quarterly to review FEG's performance. So I think we're in a pretty healthy, safe hands on that front. We have, as of June 30th, again, this is not September because we haven't had a chance to get those numbers, but as of June 30th of 25, we have about $21 million total in the endowment. Of those, the diocese has access, as I said previously, to about 5 funds. The rest are specific bequests, or in some cases, some of our parishes have elected to take advantage of the investments and transfer their savings into the endowment so they can participate in investment appreciation. Our year-to-date draws for the diocesan use at September 30th was $350,000. And as you can see, can't see because we have a little camera over, but at June 30th of 2024, can you scroll up, or I can't read? You can't, okay. As of June 30th, 24, I think we had, I'm trying to remember the number off the top of my head, about $18 million. But you'll see that even after we took account for the draws of $350,000, we still have grown the endowment over the year. The next slide shows the performance. The value at January 1st, 25 was 20,000. And as of June 30th, it was 21,000, and that accounts for the draws in the first 2 quarters. So you'll see a year-to-date return of about 7%, and then a full 1-year return of 11% versus the market of 12.3%, which we're very happy with. And the investment committee with the endowment is pleased with FEG's performance. Okay, now we're going to go over the budget. Parish commitments. We've gotten most of our parochial reports in for next year so that we can see what our total assessment will be. In 2026, it's looking like it's coming in at about 1.2 million, which is just about $100,000 over the budget from 25. Again, we're going to use the same calculation that we have in the past of the 5% draw from those funds within the endowment, and that would equate to about $487,000. The other revenue line item is going down, and that's mainly because we've expensed the majority of the previous year's Bishop Missionary Appeals funds that we'd saved. The Do Good Ministry grant was totally expensed. And then in the 25 budget, we had reimbursements for a position with the Barth House that we've since reclassified into Barth House expenses. So it's not really lost dollars, it's just a reclassification. And then the donor released revenue, as I said, each year we save certain dollars for future year expenses, and we've elected to kind of cut those. With deferred maintenance, we have a pretty healthy balance in the account, savings account for deferred maintenance. So we're gonna save a little bit less this year. But total revenue, we're coming in at about 1.8 million for the budget. Now on to expenses. In 2026, the bishop and her team have worked very hard to study the numbers and try to decrease some of the expenses to have a balanced budget. Overall, diocesan expenses, we're going to try to decrease them by about 160,000. The bulk of these savings are realized in a few specific areas. Diocesan office expenses, they've been able to shave a pretty about $20,000 in just basic office expenses. The congregational development line item is lower because, as I said earlier, we're not going to do the Do Good Ministry grants that we have in the past 2 years because we've expensed all the funds that were raised for that ministry. Then you will see the Barth House budget is moved up into youth, the youth line item, which is the third up. That is going down a bit because we're going to use funds from the church home board grant to help cover some of those expenses. And then you'll see the total diocesan personnel expenses are lower by about $50,000 because we reclassified the campus missioner, which was previously in the diocesan office personnel, to the Barth House line item. So overall, you're going to see a net cash surplus. Next slide, please. Of about $2,000. I'll come back to that. I think that's at the end. I apologize. Okay. These are the accruals that I said that each year we save for future year's expenses. The Episcopate transition is for hopefully well into the future for the search of a new bishop, and we hope that's several years down the road, but we do save money for that time, as well as General Convention. General Convention will be held in 2027, and so each year we park some money for those expenses, so we're not hit hard in 1 year. Okay, next slide. Here is our 2026 clergy minimum compensation that we are proposing. We are going to keep it flat from 2025. In the past, we've increased the stipend by about 3%, but we feel that given some of our parishes that are smaller, keeping a lower minimum level will help support them. And again, I just want to remind, this is clergy minimum compensation. This is not what clergy are expected to pay. If some of the parishes elect to pay their clergy more than that, that's obviously okay, but this is the minimum level that we're keeping flat with 2025. Okay. So here we are that we are projecting in 2026 an operating surplus of $53,000. And then if you were to take out those savings, that would equate to a surplus of about $2,000. And that is our proposed budget. And I welcome any questions. Well, y'all are an easy audience.
Thank you, Margaret. Margaret and Josh Shipley and the Finance Committee and Canon Lisa Kelly have done an amazing job of helping us to stay on track and to be really mindful of how we're stewarding these resources. So I definitely want to thank them for all of their contributions, and We are open to any feedback that you all would like to share with us about the budget. Well, for those of you all who will be delegates to Diocesan Convention, a similar presentation will be made when we convene at Calvary on, I believe it's November the 15th. And so there will also be an opportunity for people to raise questions at the floor of convention, but we like to do this hearing in advance in case there are any big things that people point out that they would like us to consider. We have time to do that before convention. So I guess I would say that Canon Elisa Kelly or Margaret McLean or Josh Shipley are always available if, as you think about the budget and things come to mind that you would like to share with us in advance of convention. You are always welcome to contact one of them to give them input into the numbers that we will be presenting at convention.
Thank you, Margaret, again for your time and presenting today. Thank you, Bishop Phoebe, for opening us up in prayer this at the top of the hour. Seeing how there aren't any other questions, concerns, and like Bishop Phoebe stated, if there anything comes up, bubbles up after today, please feel free to call the office and ask for myself, and I can take the questions back to Margaret or Josh Shipley, and we can definitely get the answer in time for Diocesan Convention. But seeing how I do not see any other questions, nothing in the chat, I'm going to give you back some of your time, and everyone can go and enjoy their lunch and the rest of their afternoon. Thank you, Ken and Rob, for helping me out on the technical side with having the recording, and our Director of Communications and Engagement is online, Emily Austin. She will take this recording and will place it on the website. So if you know of any others who wanted to attend or just wanted to know a little bit more about what's going on in 25 and what is yet to come on 26, they can definitely go on our website and review this recording. So thank you everyone for your time, and it's 12:22. Go have some wonderful lunch.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Goodbye.